super hot today. So I'm Tasha, Mama Bear Preppy. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Just getting my coffee on, right? It's just a beautiful, foggy Friday morning. Things are going well as far as waking up, except I did wake up early because of the dog. Sometimes he just wakes up super early, just once in a blue moon. Got him trained to be waking up most of the time when we do, but once in a blue moon, that little dude wants to be up, right? Hours before anybody else. So I'm up, got my coffee, wanted to discuss, I actually was going to discuss preparing for flu season. I'll probably talk about that tomorrow, maybe Monday, not sure. You guys let me know in below if you want to see that in a premiere or if you just want to see that in a video. But basically, that's what I was going to discuss. And a friend of mine sent me an article, an alert that he had received. And some of you maybe have already been tracking this and already aware, but basically it was an alert stating that the United States was going to be screening individuals coming in the country from Uganda because of the current outbreak of Ebola in that country. Now, that's not super alarming by itself, but the alert was 5 airports, basically. They will be, anybody coming in from those areas or have traveled will go through those airports, and those airports will start, integrating, for their travelers in general, new guidance, new, screening questions, right? Temperature checks, that type of thing. Now, I don't know if this is going to be for the entire airport, people leaving, going to other countries, but for sure, everybody coming from Uganda and probably will follow suit. Any of those areas over there, parts of Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, all those areas that have had significant Ebola outbreaks sporadically through over the years, right? But this is new, right? That's new, and Biden basically giving I don't know what you call it, a notice, an update, a warning, but basically a call to action for doctors to start looking out for symptoms for Ebola now. Now, again, not the end of the world, but we're not the best with being proactive. Just makes you wonder, at a minimum, made me go down the rabbit hole and check out and just see, hey, what's it looking like over there? If you did not know, over the last few years, 2019, 18, 20, 21, different times, like I just said, there's been different outbreaks in these countries. The last stuff that actually made it to the United States was in 2014. Ebola was in the United States, came to the United States. 2 people did die. And it was a number of like 9 to 11. I've seen a lot of numbers over the last 24 hours, you guys, so bear with me. 9 to 11 folks that were affected, right? To include the 2 that died and the people that recovered as well, okay? And the people that died, connected to Doctors Without Borders, nurses, people who treated the person that died, that type of thing, right? So it wasn't like some major tons of people died, but Ebola has been here. Ebola has a huge death rate depending on what strain, okay? 30 to 90%. I mean, it's crazy. You definitely do not want to be messing with Ebola. When I hear Ebola, I pay attention. Now, I want to just make it clear that I don't do these videos for views, for clicks, to scare you, to make you fearful in any way, okay? Trust in God, prayer, do all the things with God, okay? That's what should matter. He will guide you and keep you, okay? However, I like to be in the know of what is happening around the world with different infectious diseases, different viruses, things that are going on, okay, that could make it to this country and could make it to my doorstep, okay? It's like nothing else that we prepare for. We prepare for all of this stuff, okay? And so this is not to scare you. This is not to cause panic. And this is certainly not to sign from a YouTube prepper to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Absolutely not. I am going to tell you 4 things that you can do today to just think about, to mull over inside your head. Let's talk about monkeypox for a while. For a while there, I was reporting and I was sharing on my community tab, hey, monkeypox is here. Hey, monkeypox, just awareness. Okay. It is very important for us in our community and people who prepare. The whole point is to get ahead of stuff and to understand what is happening around you and prepare for it so that times are not at that, the quality of life, your quality of life, and maybe your life itself can be saved and can be made to be easier. Okay, dealt with the situation easier. Monkeypox, put that up, right? Hundreds of cases at the time. Nobody cares, right? Nobody's talking about it. News did talk about it for a little bit. Then they got off that and they haven't talked about it since. Okay. Again, this isn't a huge outbreak to lose your mind over, but you need to be aware. Back when I was reporting it a couple months ago, it was hundreds of cases, right? Maybe 2,000 in the whole entire United States. Well, it's 26,000 cases now, over 26,000 cases in the United States. Again, on the forefront, this is a disease that predominantly gay men are catching. Well, because they're spreading it between each other, whatever. Okay, facts. That's a fact, okay? However, there's a percentage that isn't, okay? Second of all, there's high warnings for children under 8, pregnant women, anybody with eczema, and anybody obviously that's immune compromised, that those people are in extreme danger of bad outcomes, whatever that means. To me, outcome means the end, meaning, okay, does that mean they get extremely, extremely sick, or does that mean they have a much higher case of dying? My point goes to our society, our government, our media, whatever you want to call it, is not going to tell us these things, okay? They're going to tell us these things when there's an agenda, when there's something that they want to make sure that they get out to the masses, right? And maybe part of it is the fact that there was a vaccine. There's treatments, right? There wasn't a lot of deaths, so it ended up not getting coverage and it just fell off, maybe as it should have, right? A lot of people in the community were worried when that came up that, hey, this is the next thing, if you will, to get us in line, to work out certain agendas, that type of thing, right? And all of that might be true. But at the end of the day, I'm just a mama bear. I'm just a simple woman who is a mother, a sister, a daughter, a wife that's just trying to prepare her family. Okay, so it's not to be fearful, right? But Ebola has been here before. It's not here in the United States yet. But we're making some moves, as in the preparedness realm, right? CDC, and the president, right? When you make a call to doctors to start looking out for this, when we start making and putting in place policies for protection, this is the stuff that's supposed to happen. None of this is like, oh, why are they doing this? No, this is important, right? Screening, different stuff. For us, the common, civilian, is just to keep your eyes open and pay attention. Okay, and so that gets me into my areas of ways you prepare, right? Number one is you keep your head on a swivel. You understand and see what's going on. You research, you do some research, you follow what's happening around in your country. These 5 airports, that should be a concern. If I was a traveler and I was traveling through these airports, I would be more cautious and understand that there's protocols in place to screen people coming and traveling from Uganda, right? And oftentimes this becomes doctors, nurses, but I don't think people understand, like these movies you see with Outbreak and all these crazy movies where the end of the world happens because it spreads so fast. That's a real thing, right? You have millions and millions of people. And so many people travel for work. International travel is an amazing thing, okay? But it also is going to have consequences the day that we come into contact with something that we can't, that's a little above our head, right? A major plague, major pandemic, outbreak, whatever that is, right? we're going to be in trouble because we are so advanced with travel. We move and move around freely in a lot of professions. Okay. A lot of folks live all over the world, but have family all over the world, right? There's so many aspects that make it where it's going to be a bad day when this comes on our doorstep. And it might not be Ebola, right? It could be Ebola, it could be smallpox, it could be something that we don't even know of yet, okay? But you got to keep your head on a swivel. That means you got to stay up on the news. Even though the news is, a lot of it is trash, it's garbage, it's meant to give you one view, right? But that's why you have to counter that with other news sources, with reading, right? Researching online, information you get from other people, cross-checking, fact-checking. You have to do that yourself, right? So head on a swivel, paying attention to news. That's why I pay attention to international news, right? Whether that's alert apps. This friend of mine, he learned it right away. It's because he got an alert on his app immediately that said it. And then I went to the internet, and of course it was there. It appeared that it had been on the internet though already for 4 or 5 hours at the point that I went and looked at it. Okay. But it was there, clear as day. These 5 airports that are going to be screening. The 5 airports, I think it's New York, Newark, Washington, Chicago, and maybe Atlanta. But it was five. And I found it interesting that it was all airports kind of on the eastern seaboard, right? It wasn't West Coast, it wasn't Los Angeles, it wasn't, it wasn't any other, it's all in that area of hospitals. So do they know something? Are they concerned about something? Have they already been working behind the scenes? Now, this current outbreak that's in Uganda, just to give you some background, is a strain that, so there's one strain that has vaccines. It's a couple vaccines for the other strand, but this strand, the Sudan strand, does not have a vaccine. And so that's why they're struggling over there right now, because there's not a vaccine and they're just treating symptoms, which can be very hard. This is a crazy, crazy disease, right? And so they're setting up hospitals, setting up places to take care of these people. But again, we already know this could already be way past Uganda. Okay. It could be. Okay. It might not be. Okay. But we are taking steps. Okay. So what is it that we know? Again, we know we're not always going to be told the truth. So we have to kind of draw your own conclusions. Again, not meant to panic. Okay. Keep your head on a swivel. Second thing is be vigilant. You remember when things popped off this last couple of years? Everybody was vigilant. Baby, people spraying people with Lysol, spraying down doorknobs, any keyboards, TV remotes. You was spraying down your car. You wasn't going nowhere with no hand sanitizer in your pocket. You had masks. You had all types of stuff happening. People were wearing gloves to get gas, to hit the ATM, to hit the keypad at the grocery store, right? Nobody was touching anything. People were keeping their distance, right? Be vigilant. And I'm not saying, hey, start walking around with gloves and start looking at people sideways when they're a little too close, okay? But do what you can do to keep your own personal space from people. Do what you can do. The kids, ever since that happened, man, they don't touch nothing in the store, right? Back in the day, the kids touch it. Can I have this? Can I have this? No, and they don't touch nothing now. Right? They get in trouble. Don't touch stuff. And it's not so that you don't bother me and ask me to buy it. It's because tons of people touch that stuff. From the people who stocked it to the 10 people that pick it up and want to look at it and decide if they want to look at the ingredients on the back and decide if they want to buy it. Negative. Okay. Stop touching stuff. Stop touching people. Stop touching stuff in general. Just be a cleaner person in general and not be complacent about stuff. Right? They have that cool thing. I don't have it. I've been like, oh, do I want that? The little key thing that goes on your keychain that just is to hit everything. So when you're at the store, hitting that keypad at the store, when you're at the ATM, it hits that, you're getting gas, whatever it is you're doing where you have to touch stuff that lots of people have touched. It's a metal thing that you're able to, pin in stuff, okay, and not touch stuff. But you've got to be aware of what's going on around you, okay? The people that are around you. The whole point of doing these videos is for awareness, so that you're understanding what's happening around the world and what could come at our doorstep, so that when you see that first sign, that first step, that it's a no-go at that point, that okay, I'm not messing with this, right? We're staying home, there's Ebola's in the country, you're just aware ahead of other people, okay? And you're not out there doing these silly things where you're just out and about in society with all these people, okay, when there's a virus going around. Third thing I think is get the things, right? Get the PPE. Again, we understood last time when we ran out of stuff, couldn't get stuff. It was horrible, right? You couldn't find anything, right? Not to mention that the hospitals were screaming that they needed PPE, that they needed stuff. I hope since then that they have upped their games as far as their backups, the stuff that they had, and realized they did not have enough for a pandemic, for an outbreak, for anything of that nature. And that especially major hospitals, that they spent some of this pandemic money to up their game in that sense, because you had the whole situation at the beginning about, you don't need masks, you don't need masks. And I fully believe that at first that was because they didn't want the panic from the citizens to go out and start swooping up all these masks and buying these masks. And masks was already a thing. So you already had people that were like, I need a mask, I need masks, I need masks, right? All on the internet. And then you had hospitals, right, that were trying to order stuff and couldn't find stuff. And then they were panicked, right? So get yours, right? Did we not learn anything? There's positives to be learned from what we have gone through in the last 2 years. If at a minimum, you've learned the panic that it can ensue, the panic buying, right? Stuff flying off the shelves, not being able to find certain products. You've understood and seen how the news media will spin things. You've understood how your government will react to this type of a problem, and how they're really not ready. The hospitals weren't ready. The government wasn't ready. There was a lot of misinformation, a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of divide. There was a lot of policy pushing. There was a lot of stuff happening that should have taught a ton of people a ton of things in the last 2 years. And so play your little piece and get from that the lessons to be learned that you can now implement into your family, so that you guys are ready and don't fall into traps, things that people say. Research for yourself. Take care of your family. You are your family's healer, okay? So get the PPE, get the things. And then the last thing I have for you is just prepare for change, right? I mean, you saw how things changed. You saw how life changed for people. You saw people having to go to school and work from home. All of a sudden, everybody's at home. You saw families coming together, and the time that people spent together, you saw families break apart because they couldn't stand being close to each other. But you learn valuable lessons during that time frame, right? And know that change is going to happen, right? It's a scary thing if we go through something. Imagine, we'll just use Ebola since we started the conversation with that. If something major like Ebola comes here and actually gets loose, and when I say gets loose, means we can't even track, it's moving quickly. People are dying and it is moving quickly through the states. That's a problem. How does that change your life? Imagine something that's 10 times detrimental than what we went through in the last few years, and all the aspects that is going to start. Policies, FEMA regions setting up, martial law, all types of stuff, people dying, chaos in the streets, people upset. I mean, you're in the throes of it at that point if something gets to this. And the crazy thing is it's coming. That's the crazy part. It's this is not, it might never come, you guys, it's fine. No, it's coming. We have pandemics coming, major pandemics coming in the future. So it's, what do you do now to prepare for that? I'm not saying Ebola is coming at our door tomorrow, but I'm saying pay attention, because this is a big thing that you should always be on your forefront, that you're watching, okay? You should continue to watch the monkeypox. I read up on it this morning just to see where it's at. 2 people have died from monkeypox. Did you know that? 26,000 cases, since I started reporting on this a few months ago, 2 people have died. Okay. Somebody in Texas and somebody in California. And I didn't hear that on the news. I didn't hear anybody covering about how somebody had died from monkeypox, but 2 people have died in our country in the last few months from monkeypox. Okay. You should know that. I'm not saying panic. 2 people died. Oh my gosh. I'm saying that you should be aware that monkeypox is here, that it is going around, that it's ramping up in the last couple months. It's starting to ramp up again. Remember, we're about to go into a season of flu. Everything kind of likes to live in this world of winter time. Okay, so it's not just flu. It's flu. It's COVID. It's monkeypox. You know, it's watching and making sure that you're paying attention for the day that Ebola comes to this country so that you can, you know, up your own, you know, DEFCON, if you will, in your home, your own threat levels. And you decide and you can make moves for you and your family that are going to make smart when anything comes our way, any kind of virus, okay, pops up. You're aware, okay? So pay attention to this stuff. It's important. And it's important to not just, you know, oh, it's no big deal. You know, not enough people are dying for me to care, right? I mean, if you want to have that attitude, then by all means, you're your own person, okay? So you can have that attitude. But over here, we're not going to be that way. We're all about preparedness and being aware of our surroundings, being aware of what's happening around the world so that when things ramp up, if they do ramp up, we're ready. And we're ready to go, okay? So if there's some stuff you're still missing, right? My girl mentioned, I think on a comment, oh, you reminded me I needed gloves. Get that stuff, baby. Get your PPE, okay? Get your gloves, your masks, your gowns, your bleach, your Lysol, your hand sanitizer. Get all that stuff, all your cold medicines, your immune boosting stuff. Get ready. Okay, get ready now. Don't panic. Do what you're already doing. Get your onesie twosies here and there, your backups. But get your stuff. We prep for seasons in this home. We're always thinking about what season are we in and what season are we about to be in. And that's what we're prepping for, right? We're prepping for the next season. We're about to go into a hardcore cold and sickness season. And we already have stuff kind of on the books that is looming already. That is already of concern. And so if you throw, you know, watching monkeypox, watching Ebola, you know, and whatever else is going to come our way, you're just watching it and paying attention. Head on a swivel, pay attention, okay? Get your PPE and just understand what's happening around the world and in your own country, okay? Do some research, go down the rabbit hole a little bit. Get you some coffee and just go down it a little bit. Just so you're up on game. You've got the latest and greatest about what is going on. Stats, whatever, okay? Knowledge is power, baby. So keep doing it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.